Growth hormone doesn't stop being important after you stop growing. In adults, it regulates body composition, muscle maintenance, fat metabolism, bone density, immune function, and even cognitive performance. After age 30, natural growth hormone secretion declines by roughly 14% every decade. But research has identified specific, validated triggers that can dramatically amplify your body's own HGH pulses without injections. A landmark study in the Journal of Clinical Investigation found that fasting for just 24 hours increased growth hormone secretion by 5-fold. Not 5%. 5 times. Another study showed that high-intensity exercise produces acute HGH pulses up to 6 times above baseline. These responses are real, measurable, and accessible to anyone. In this video, we are going to see exactly how to trigger them consistently. The research on natural HGH optimization spans several decades of clinical endocrinology. Key papers in JAMA, the Journal of Clinical Investigation, and the Journal of Applied Physiology have established the relationships between sleep, fasting, exercise, body composition, and growth hormone pulsatility. These studies formed the scientific foundation for understanding HGH as a regulatable hormone, not a fixed output. Research shows this pattern is more consistent across populations than previously understood. The common belief is that growth hormone is only relevant for children and elite athletes taking performance-enhancing drugs. Research tells a different story. In adults, growth hormone is the primary regulator of fat oxidation during fasting and sleep. It preserves lean muscle mass as we age, stimulates collagen synthesis, and supports immune cell production. Adults with low HGH have measurably worse body composition, bone density, and energy levels. The biggest suppressors of growth hormone in adults under individual control. High insulin levels, from frequent eating and high sugar intake, blunt HGH secretion directly. Excess body fat, especially visceral fat, impairs HGH pulsatility significantly. Poor sleep quality reduces slow-wave sleep, the phase when most daily HGH is released. These 3 factors are the reason most adults over 40 have HGH levels resembling those of people with clinical growth hormone deficiency. By the time most people notice the consequences of declining HGH, increased belly fat, loss of muscle tone, poor sleep, slower recovery, the lifestyle factors driving the decline have been in place for years. The good news is that the system is responsive. Research shows HGH secretion can be dramatically improved within days to weeks of addressing the key suppressors. The body hasn't lost the ability to produce it, it's been blocked. A JAMA study published in 2000 by Van Coda and colleagues tracked growth hormone secretion in men across different ages and found that slow-wave sleep duration was the strongest predictor of nightly HGH secretion. Men who lost slow-wave sleep, either through aging or lifestyle factors, showed dramatic reductions in HGH output. The study established that sleep is not passive recovery, it is the primary HGH secretion window, with 60 to 70% of daily HGH released during. The fasting effect on growth hormone is one of the most robust findings in endocrinology. A 1988 study in the Journal of Clinical Investigation documented that a 24-hour fast increased HGH pulse frequency and amplitude in healthy men, producing a 5-fold increase in total HGH secretion. The mechanism involves falling insulin and glucose levels, removing the inhibitory brake on the pituitary gland's HGH release. Even a 12-hour overnight fast produces meaningful HGH enhancement. Exercise is the third major HGH trigger, and intensity matters enormously. Research shows that low-intensity exercise produces minimal HGH response. Moderate-intensity exercise produces a moderate response. But high-intensity exercise above lactate threshold produces acute HGH spikes up to 6 times above baseline, with peaks occurring 30 to 60 minutes post-exercise. Resistance training near failure also produces strong HGH pulses through acidosis-mediated signaling. Several specific nutrients and amino acids have clinical evidence for supporting HGH secretion. Arginine, particularly before bed and at rest, has produced HGH increases of up to 60% in studies. GABA supplementation has shown HGH-enhancing effects at rest. Melatonin supplementation modestly supports HGH secretion during sleep. And vitamin D deficiency is associated with lower HGH levels. Addressing deficiency restores normal pulsatility. Natural HGH optimization comes down to 3 levers: sleep quality, insulin management, and exercise intensity. Each lever targets a different HGH regulatory mechanism. Sleep governs the nightly pulse amplitude. Insulin management, through fasting windows and low glycemic eating, removes the hormonal brake. Exercise intensity, specifically high-intensity work, produces acute HGH spikes that compound over time with body composition improvement. The timeline for meaningful HGH improvement depends on where you start. If you currently eat before bed and have poor sleep quality, you may see measurable improvements in body composition and energy within 2 to 4 weeks of addressing those factors alone. Exercise adaptations in HGH response typically compound over 8 to 12 weeks of consistent high-intensity training. Body composition improvements, particularly visceral fat reduction, take 3 to 6 months but produce the largest sustained HGH increase. Here is the practical daily HGH protocol. Stop eating at least 2 to 3 hours before bed. Late eating raises insulin exactly when HGH needs to peak. Ensure 7 to 9 hours of sleep with a consistent bedtime. Include 2 to 3 high-intensity exercise sessions per week. Consider a minimum 12-hour overnight fasting window. And if you're deficient in vitamin D, address that. It's one of the simplest HGH supports. The optimal timing of exercise for HGH benefit matters more than most people realize. Training in the late afternoon or early evening is documented to produce the highest HGH response in most studies. Exercising in a fasted state amplifies the HGH spike further because insulin is already low. Post-workout, avoiding carbohydrates for 60 to 90 minutes preserves the HGH pulse window and allows the anabolic signal to fully propagate before insulin rises. Growth hormone is not just for children or athletes. It's the adult body's primary regulator of body composition, fat metabolism, recovery, and aging pace. Its decline is real and consequential, but largely driven by modifiable lifestyle factors. Sleep quality, insulin management through fasting, and high-intensity exercise are the 3 most potent evidence-based triggers. The protocol is simple. The biology responds quickly. You have more control over your hormonal environment than most people realize. Growth hormone is a perfect example. The research is clear on what triggers it and what suppresses it. The protocol is not complicated, just consistent and specific in its timing. Research shows this pattern is more consistent across populations than previously understood. Studies find these effects are measurable and reproducible across independent research groups.